and welcome. You're listening to the X22 Report. My name is Dave, and this is episode 1740B, and today's date is December 13th, 2018, and the title of the episode is Stealth Prosecutor Activated, Avoided Z, Severe Pain Coming to D.C. Now, before I get started, we all know the deep state, they're going to be fighting back, but we don't know exactly the next move of the deep state. And I just want to say one of the best devices you can invest for your home protection is a flashlight, the Patriot flashlight. Why is it the best? Never waste money on batteries again. It's solar powered. Life-saving emergency strobe light, emergency siren. Let others know you're in danger. Charge your phone anywhere. It has a compass, rope, wire cutter, and glass breaking hammer. Patriot flashlight is the perfect holiday gift for you and your family. Take advantage and give the gift of protection to your loved ones this holiday season. Use the code X20 and receive 20% off the Patriot flashlight. Let's get into the economic collapse, political and geopolitical news. Now, last night, Q opened up 8chan for Q&A and answered many different questions, which we'll be going into in a little while. But first, I wanted to start off with Michael Cohen and Trump. Trump decided to tweet out after Michael Cohen was sentenced to 3 years in prison. And this is what Trump said. I never directed Michael Cohen to break the law. He was a lawyer and he's supposed to know the law. It is called advice of counsel. And a lawyer has great liability if a mistake is made. This is why they get paid, despite the many campaign finance lawyers have strongly stated that I did nothing wrong with respect to campaign finance laws, if they even apply, because this was not campaign finance. Cohen was guilty on many charges unrelated to me, but he pled to 2 campaign charges which were not criminal and of which he probably was not guilty even on a civil basis. Those charges were just agreed to by him in order to embarrass the president and get a much reduced prison sentence, which he did, including the fact that his family was temporarily let off the hook. As a lawyer, Michael has great liability to me. Now, what's very interesting about all of this, and Trump is out there saying, listen, this campaign, the money that was given is not a violation. First of all, it's before he was president, and he didn't instruct Cohen to do any of this. But to me, this all sounds kind of fake. And why do I say this? Because if there is a violation in campaign contributions and things like that, or hush money, like they like to call it, the FEC gets involved. Now, I've seen many other complaints with the FEC, with Trump Jr. and Trump, and they all got off. The FEC dropped all those charges and things like that. But looking for a complaint that was written to the FEC for Cohen, I can't find it. And to me, for him to admit this, and this was before the campaign, it seems like this was completely created out of nothing. Think about this for a second. The FEC, this is the Federal Election Commission. What do? They administer and enforce the laws that govern the financing of elections for federal office. The U.S. House, Senate, and President. Other election-related laws are not within the FEC's jurisdiction. Any person may file a complaint with the Commission if he or she believes a violation of the federal election campaign laws or FEC regulations has occurred or is about to occur. The Commission reviews every complaint filed. If the Commission finds that a violation occurred, possible outcomes can range from a letter reiterating compliance obligations to a conciliation agreement, which may include a monetary civil penalty. Actually, Obama got one of these for something like $375,000. He got that penalty. All FEC enforcement matters are kept confidential until they are resolved. Now, by law, all complaints must be in writing and must provide the full name and address of the person filing the complaint. They must be signed, sworn to, and notarized, meaning that the notary certificate must state that the complaint was signed and sworn to before me, or must indicate that the complainant affirmed the complaint under penalty of perjury. Complaints must be sent to the FEC, and that gives the address. Well, at this point, wouldn't they produce that they wrote this complaint to the FEC and the FEC was investigating? But we're not seeing the investigation from the FEC, which is kind of strange. Yes, they can keep the rest confidential, But that would be all over the news because when you look, you can see all the other complaints with the FEC against Trump Jr., against Trump. I mean, they were all dropped. And this was in the beginning stages of 2018, 2017, and 2016. But we don't see this. This would have been headline news. And this is why when you look at what Cohen is doing, it is completely fake. Now, with Flynn, this is another problem because we had those dodgy FBI 302 reports, which they kind of created after the fact to ambush Flynn, and then they ambushed him, and then later on they created the 302s. So Flynn was told not to have his lawyer with him while he was discussing these things with Mueller. And soon after the FBI agents began to question him, he realized he was being ambushed over his phone calls to Russia Ambassador Kislyak. Now, the FBI agents who ambushed General Flynn on January 24th, 2017, didn't write their 302 reports on their interview until 7 months later on August 22nd. This is also after Rosenstein wrote his August 2nd memo expanding Mueller's scope. Congressional investigators have long suspected the 302 summary notes on Flynn were altered to make it appear he was lying. I mean, they already said that they didn't think he was lying. So now, what are they doing? Well, they want the 302 reports and they want them released to the public. This is very interesting. They're saying the American people deserve answers as to why the 302 summary reports on the Flynn interview wasn't taken at the time of the ambush. Were they rewritten several months later? Well, the people should see them. Flynn should see them. Let us all see them. Let's see what really happened. I believe this is going to be coming out very, very soon. We see that the Inspector General released their report, and the Department of Justice investigators were unable to recover text messages from Peter Strzok and Lisa Page sent during their short tenure on the special counsel's investigation. According to the OIG report, iPhones issued by the special counsel's office to Strzok and Page were reset after they left counsel probe in July 2017. How convenient, making it impossible to retrieve text messages sent and received on those devices. The absence of text messages from a crucial period of time prevents Congress and the public from seeing whether Strzok and Page anti-Trump sentiments carried over into the special counsel's probe. Now, they exchanged tens of thousands of texts, and coming out of the market's work, this is the texts that were recovered. About 9,311 from Strzok, 10,760 from Page. But it's very convenient how all of a sudden these messages were disappeared. Now, of course, the FBI is saying, oh, there was a glitch. Just like Clinton said, there was a glitch. That's why you can't get to my emails. You mean because you deleted them all? Because they deleted them, the pages. The text messages. They deleted all that stuff. They're covering their tracks. That's what they're doing right now. Now, Schiff is out there, and you can see he is afraid. He is nervous. He doesn't know what to do. He is trying to change the rules because he knows he is screwed. So the incoming House Intelligence Committee Chairman, Adam Schiff, called the Justice Department's Office of Legal Counsel to reevaluate its opinion that a sitting president can't be indicted under circumstances in which the failure to do so may mean that person escapes justice. Wow. Is he projecting right now? And is he trying to change the rules because he realizes that he is stuck right now? And I hate to say this, but there's nothing there that they can use to indict the president. It's absolutely ridiculous. All they're doing is showing how afraid they are. It's always the opposite. They're talking about themselves. Now, we know from Q that Trump has always had a way to build the wall. And Trump tweeted out the following showing how Mexico actually is going to pay for the wall. Indirectly, of course. I often stated, and this is coming from Trump, one way or the other, Mexico is going to pay for the wall. This has never changed. Our new deal with Mexico and Canada, the USMCA, is so much better than the old, very costly and anti-USA NAFTA deal. That, just by the money we save, Mexico is going to be paying for the wall. Well, we know that he already has this included in the military budget. He's going to say, just like he is saying right now, that from all the money that we're saving, Mexico is actually paying for it, and we're going to use that money, which is going to be coming out of the military budget. And he can do this because of what? National security. All planned out. Now, the mainstream media is out there, and during the meeting with Schumer, with Pelosi, Trump kept on mentioning terrorists coming over the border, and you can see all over the mainstream media, they're all out there saying that, there's no facts to back this up. He's just waving statistics around. They're meaningless. Well, it looks like DHS came out, and this is Tyler Holton. He tweeted out the following. "We are happy to provide the facts, but you never reached out. In fact, DHS prevented 3,755 known or suspected terrorists from traveling to or entering the U.S. in the year of 2017. That's in addition to 17,526 criminals, 1,019 gang members, and 3,028 special interest aliens. Hashtag facts first." So the mainstream media, they just got their answers. Why didn't they ask? Why didn't they go ahead and say something? Why? Because they push propaganda. Now, what's very interesting is the migrant caravan. They are giving Trump an ultimatum. Actually, it sounds like a threat to me. They are demanding that Trump give them asylum. So there's 100 migrants. This is the first group. They're saying, we want asylum. The second group of 50, they are saying they want asylum. Now, the first group demanded that Trump let them into the country, and if he doesn't, that he should pay each migrant $50,000. The group is giving the U.S. 72 hours to respond. What? So let's see. Soros, the deep state, they paid these individuals to come up to the border. They couldn't get into the United States, and now they want money. They're not U.S. citizens. They're citizens from other countries. If they want to come into the country, 50 or these 100 people go to the port of entry. It's that simple. Why don't they just do this? And it seems like they're threatening the U.S. I mean, after 72 hours, what are they going to do? Very interesting. We see Macron, he is facing a no confidence vote today. Don't know if it happened already, but you can see the people are very upset. And this is spreading across Europe. People are getting wind of this. People are putting on the yellow vest. People are protesting all over the place because they're starting to realize that these leaders, the establishment, the elite, they're not for the people. The central bankers, they're not for the people. And guess what? The people want control back. They don't want these leaders anymore. This is why, if you look at Macron's approval rating, and you look at many of the other leaders like May and Merkel, who say they're not going to be running anymore, this is why they've been dropping in the polls. Because the people are not happy with them. Let's move on to Q's post. We're going to start off with post 2600. And Q put up a link to Sarah Carter. And this is Clinton whistleblowers. We know today there's a hearing. Tom Fitton is testifying and many others. And the article says, public hearing to reveal explosive information. And this went on to say a trove of documents on the Clinton Foundation alleging possible pay for play and tax evasion had been turned over to the FBI and IRS by several investigative whistleblowers who will be testifying in an open hearing before the House Oversight and Government Reform Committee today. Roughly 6,000 documents that are expected to reveal the nearly 2-year investigation by the whistleblowers with a private firm called MDA Analytics LLC, which allegedly turned over the documents more than a year and a half ago to the IRS. So right now we have this going on, and we'll have to see how it all turns out. Let's move on to post 2601. And this is a link to Paul Sarin. This is a tweet, and it says, 1. A hashtag QAnon thread about U.S. Attorney John Huber and the explosive prosecution effort he is heading alongside Department of Justice IG Horowitz. In scope and size, it is said to be the biggest in history. And down below this, it says, goodbye, Mr. Rod Rosenstein. Under this, it says in kill brackets, all caps bold, RR, Rod Rosenstein, still overseeing special counsel? No. Whitaker has taken over the special counsel, now is controlling Mueller. The next link is oversight to house.gov, and this is the oversight of nonprofit organization, a case study of the Clinton Foundation. The purpose, to discuss the management of 501c3 nonprofit organization, how the designation impacts the programs and activities a nonprofit is allowed to conduct. And it gives a list of witnesses and testimony. Tom Fitton, President, Mr. Philip Hackney, Associate Professor of Law, University of Pittsburgh, Mr. Lawrence W. Doyle, Managing Partner, DM Income Advisors, Mr. John F. Moynihan, Principal, JFM, and Associates. So giving us the rundown of who's going to be testifying. Under this, it says schedule for tomorrow. Where is Huber? So where is Huber? And why did Q highlight that he's not on the House schedule today? We can be assured that this information is important and that leaking it won't compromise the plan. Nobody is above the law. The world is watching. Q. So where is Huber right now? We don't know. Maybe we'll find out in a little bit. Post 2602. An anon asked a question, and this must be why the shills are spewing everywhere. Love it. Q is over the target with the Clinton Foundation. Under this, it says panic is good. Fake news attacks. Blue checkmark attacks. Shill attacks. Badge of honor. Over the target. Q. Post 2603 puts everything from 2601. And under it, it says the following. What if there's another prosecutor, brackets outside of D.C., assigned by Sessions with the same mandate and authority? Now, this is very interesting because none of this was leaked. This was all being done in stealth mode. And this prosecutor is outside of D.C. investigating what? Very interesting. So all eyes were on Huber. Nobody was looking at the stealth prosecutor. And Q wrote one for the history books. Not long now. So they have many individuals working on this. Now, who is this individual? We don't know as of yet, but Judicial Watch has been doing a lot of work. Tom Fitton has been doing a lot of work on this. Was he hired? And is he working with Q? Maybe. Very interesting. Post 2604. An anon says, so Huber is a head fake. If so, brilliant, Q. And then Q came right out and said, no, that's false. Huber is not a head fake. Huber will bring severe pain to D.C. So Huber is actually investigating. He has all the information. He's based out of Utah. He has all the data, has all the information, has all the emails. They have everything. And severe pain to D.C. is all in caps. Sessions was forced to release the name of Huber. This is all caps bold and brackets surrounding Huber, to House created another variable, which then they created another prosecutor working in stealth mode. Use logic. Why would we tell you the plan if in doing so also alerts those who we are actively engaged in hunting? Well, it puts all the eyes on Huber, and in the background you have this special prosecutor outside of D.C. maybe working on other things or the same things that Huber is doing. Now, these individuals, they're looking at Huber, trying to protect themselves from Huber, but little do they know, there's someone else lurking in the background. If you are witnessing firsthand the demise of those in power, brackets, bold, all caps, old guard. Those who push simply have no grasp of reality. Those who push simply do not understand warfare tactics. Emotions cloud judgment. Emotions cloud logic. You have more than you know. Securing the Senate meant everything, which we discussed many times before. Securing the Supreme Court meant everything, and everything is in all caps. Under it, it said, brackets, bold, avoided, capital Z, avoided Plan Z. They were preparing to do the unthinkable. Military takeover, martial law. Plan Z was the last plan to consider if they were absolutely desperate. But guess what? They avoided all of this by securing the justice system, the Senate, the Supreme Court. They have full control. We the people, enough is enough. Together we win. Do you think all these attacks on Q, we the people, is simply for a person on the internet who they label as a conspiracy? Think for yourself. Trust yourself. Always, always research for yourself. Always be in control of yourself. Never let anyone else drive you. You can listen to people, but do research. Go out and find the truth. Those who try to drive you are not your friend. Q. Post 2605. Q&A. So it looks like it's Q&A time with Q, and many of the anons had many questions. Now, Q didn't answer every single question. Q answered a lot of them, and here are some of them. How do you know the future? An anon asked. Q says, control. They don't have a crystal ball. They don't know exactly what's going to happen. Plans do change. But they have control over what's going on. And that's how they can say this is going to happen. Now, it might not happen at the exact time that we all think it's going to happen, but eventually it does happen. Post 2607, an anon asks, is Seth, and that's Seth Rich, is Seth alive? Q says no. Post 2608, an anon said, what were in the envelopes? Now, during the funeral of George H.W. Bush, individuals received envelopes, and people were wondering what was in those envelopes. Well, Q answered it was a promise to counter. Remember, going back, the funeral was held on December 5th. Q and many others were putting out that there were going to be hearings on the December 5th date. It just so happened that there was the funeral of George H.W. Bush on the December 5th date. And Q said, well played, let us counter. So in the envelopes was, we promised to counter what you just did. And if you look at Clinton's face, you can see her reading it and then just shoves it back in the envelope. Post 2609, an anon says, is there a plan in place for after Trump? Q says, yes. An anon asked in post 2610, will voter fraud be exposed before January? Q says no. 2019 push, voter ID based on verifiable intel, fraud. 2020 plus safeguarded, Q. Post 2611, an anon asked, is JFK Jr. alive? Q says no, he is not alive. An anon asked, what about Snowden? Is Snowden a traitor? Q says, negotiating for return, he is a traitor. Mission to harm the NSA, Q. An anon asked, is Julian Assange stateside? Q said, no. So that might mean he's still in the Ecuadorian embassy, and most likely he's protected. Post 2614. The Q&A is a stress test of the HAN infrastructure performance. Q says, yes, this is a stress test, added servers bandwidth, improved performance. Post 2615, an anon said, should we be prepping for some kind of shutdown? Q says, no. reports of a power grid attack, 6-month prep should be disregarded. While attacks do occur, we are safeguarded by black eye. So Q is telling us that they have everything under control. We don't have to worry about a power grid coming down across the country. Now, does this mean that we will not see a power grid come down in localized areas? Maybe, maybe not, because it doesn't have to be the whole country. Let's move on. Post 2616. An anon put up a tweet from Trump. Melania will be interviewed by Sean Hannity tonight, Fox News at 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time. Under it says 0 Delta, Q POTUS. Q says not intended, separated by 2, Q. So it looks like this was not really intended, and it's just a coincidence on how this came about. Post 2617, an anon says, is internet infrastructure being safeguarded to prevent shutdown? Q says NSA ability to overreach hosts possible. Q. So what Q is saying is that the NSA has capabilities to deal with internet blackout. Maybe they have the ability to reroute and make sure that it doesn't go down. But once again, social media platforms are a little different because that's a private company. So if you're talking about the entire internet, yes, the NSA has the ability to maybe reroute and keep it, operational. But the private social media companies, they can shut down anyone's account. They can shut down certain sections. And I don't know if the NSA would have the ability to bring those back up. Because if they did, then they would just bring down those accounts that were just shut down and they would just bring them back up with ease. But I don't think they have access to do that. Post 2618. An anon says, will FLOTUS confirm anything on Hannity tonight? Q says only her beauty and love of country. Post 2619. An anon says, do we have the gold? Q says yes. Gold shall destroy the Fed. Now, my first report, we went over this, but I do believe that the United States has gold. It might not be in Fort Knox. It might be still underground or in other places. But Q is confirming that we do have gold and real money is going to be used to shut down the Fed. Post 2620. An anon said, Q is talking about Google's 10Q filings with the SEC. My assumption would be for their 3/31/2019 or 6/30/2019 10Q filing. Q says assumption correct. 10KYE 2019 1+2 should be closely evaluated. Help will be provided when these do come out. Senate to investigate in 2019. Q. Post 2621. An anon says, will voter fraud in California ever be brought to light? Q says yes. Watch California was deliberate. So it hasn't happened yet. Q still wants us to watch California. It is coming. Post 2622. An anon says, just to shut the flat earthers up, Q, is the earth flat? Q says no. Post 2623. An anon says, is Gitmo going to be used for U.S. citizens' cabal? Q says, 3 detention centers being prepped. Monitor the funding. So basically, we'd have to look at the funding to see which one of these are. And if anyone is doing the research on that, please send it to me. But I will be doing the research on my own. I haven't gotten to it as of yet. Post 2624. An anon said, Q, please tell us who or what the wizards and warlocks are. And Q says, guardians of intelligence. What does that mean? Well, they are the guardians of the intelligence community. Post 2625. End stress test failed. Q. So an anon on 8chan put all this together, and here's the recap. Q does not know the future. They control events and cause things to take place. Seth Rich is dead. The envelopes given to certain people at the White House funeral were Q's counter. There is a plan for when Trump is out of office. 2016 elections, 2018 elections, stand. 2019 voter ID, 2020 safe. JFK Jr. is dead. They're negotiating for the return of the traitor Snowden sent to hurt the No Such Agency. Assange is not in the U.S. This is a stress test. More resources are needed. The black eye is protecting the nation's power grid. Q POTUS Trump, not Zero Delta, separated by 2. The NSA can overreach internet hosts to protect the web. FLOTUS on Hannity tonight is beautiful, loves her country. Gold shall destroy the Fed. Google is in deep financial trouble and will be investigated next year in the Senate. California voter fraud will be exposed. The earth is not flat. 3 detention centers are being prepped. Look at the budget for funding. Wizards and warlocks are guardians of intelligence. End stress test failed. Need more bananas. So there you have it. Everything is going to be coming together. Q will be answering more questions. Q will be posting some more. And we will see the entire agenda move forward. And I believe in the beginning of the year, we're going to see things really accelerate, because that's when Trump's executive order comes online. It comes online January 1st, 2019, and we're going to see a lot of things happen. And also, we have this stealth prosecutor working behind the scenes. Listen, everyone, thanks a lot for listening. Be well, be safe, and especially be prepared. Thanks a lot.